Excuse me, Mr. DJ.
Hey, check this out. We got a great show coming your way.
From the ECSI Sports Studios, it's the Midday Market Report with Jeff Dawson.
ECSI fans, you want to revolutionize your sports investing habits? Allow me to tell you about WagerWire. WagerWire is an app that helps you become a superior bettor by allowing you to sync all of your sports books and track all of your bets in one place. See your current action, your betting history, and stats. You can also sign up for sportsbooks and collect bonus offers. Follow them at WagerWire on X, as they're the best account on the platform. Head to the App Store or Play Store now and search WagerWire to download the app.
Good afternoon, sports fans from all around the globe. I am the host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors, and this is your midday market report for Friday, December 22nd, 2023. Three Men in a Box fantasy, NCAAF football show. It's been a few weeks. I was sick and down and out last week. The week before was taking care of the Army-Navy Media Row and the game on Saturday. But our two stars of the show, Quentin Mills and Matt Grissom, are back. And there's a huge slate of college bowl games tomorrow. And the rest of the week, leading us up till next Friday, we'll be breaking down the semifinals and potential championship winners there. Shout out to the gentleman behind the glass, Joseph Shea. Hope you're doing a lot better. And, of course, Evan Lewis. And, of course, our proud sponsor and partnership with WagerWire. If you have not downloaded the app, please run on over to Google Play or wherever you download this app. It's free. Start tracking your bets. Start keeping the track of your ROI. This is not entertainment, people. If you want entertainment, go over to that four-letter word. Starts with an E, then goes with an S and a P and an N. And Fox and all those other people, okay? This is the real deal here where we try to educate as much as possible. And I like to say win, grin, and profit. So if you're looking for a little flash cash, a little side hustle, send an email to affiliate@wagerwire.com. Tell them JD from ECSI sent you. Zach, Travis, the rest of their team, their community will take good care of you. So without further ado, let's bring in the two stars of this show, Quentin Mills and Matt Grissom.
Long time no see.
Afternoon, Matt. Afternoon, Q.
Can't fault
Mr. Dawson.
You crossed off something had I been with you on my bucket list, the Army-Navy game. So I want to start with that. How was the experience? Because that's something I've always wanted to do. Very jealous of you that you got to do it.
It was a life-changing experience. It really was. The Friday Media Row, Rick Neuheisel, we on our 2-hour show with Sports Map, Anthony Pepe and Mark Linehan. We had former players from both Army and Navy. The quarterback Keenan came on. We were doing some jabs with him, who actually played for the Ravens and the Patriots at one point. Behind me was the Philadelphia radio station. I was jabbing with Hugh Douglas throughout the commercial breaks. In front of us was the Tampa station. In comes Gronk. To the right of us, 98.5. Zolak comes in with the glasses on, sunglasses, because he had just done the Pittsburgh and Patriots game on Thursday. Just an amazing experience at the Westin in Boston. And then Saturday at the game, the pageantry, the march in, the paratroopers. And as I was talking to you guys backstage, we had field passes. So our seats were anywhere we wanted to stand and watch on the field for an amazing game that came down to the final play. It absolutely, I have the Masters at the top. That box still hasn't been checked. I've been to World Series games. Everything but the Masters and the Army Navy has now been checked off. So, Matt, Q, if there's a possibility that we're at next year's game, if there's a possibility that we have an extra couple connections, God bless you. We'll make sure we check some boxes.
All right,
Yeah, it's fun.
good. Let's go ahead.
I've actually talked to the Naval Academy sports radio host Pete Medhurst, and he echoes the same thing. I've interviewed him on Notebook Wagering, and he's done a Nats World Series. He's done, Ravens Super Bowl, and then, obviously Naval Athletics. And he said it's just both teams could be winless going into the game, and it feels like a Super Bowl, to say the least. He said just the emotions is it's something that you can't describe with words. It's something you just have to feel. And one of these days, they alternated Philly and Baltimore a lot. I'm going to make it up. If we can do next year, sign me up. I'd love to be a part of that.
We were in the back end zone, and after the paratroopers came in, after the flyover and the national anthem, when they brought the big, huge flag on the stadium, then in come the teams, and Army came running right to us. And I was at the back end zone, and they were like, I swear to God, they were running right at me, and they're hitting each other. They're getting down, they're kneeling and praying, and I'm just shaking. I mean, as you said, the emotion, the records don't matter. It doesn't matter if someone's 12-0 and 0-12. Throw the records out. I mean, this is the game.
Yeah. Well, that's crazy. After that game, they ended up being teammates, across overseas. And I think that's what makes it even more meaningful is they're against each other for 60 minutes, but they're with each other for the rest of their lives, essentially.
And the amazing part is they're not worrying about where they're getting drafted. They're not worrying about nil money, transfer portals, anything like that. A lot of those players get the envelope and they know where they're going after that game, whether it's to this war, to that war, they're going at some base or wherever they're going to serve the country and defend our freedom.
Yeah, they're not worried about transfer portal, but I can assure you, Matt and I were watching it like hawks this past couple of days because we sure as hell need some portal success here down in Southeastern Conference.
Matt, speaking of that, I mean, it's been a few weeks. It was a rough year for Arkansas. Obviously, we've talked about the head coach, the direction. I've watched your timeline. I've watched you vent. Before we dig into the bowl games and of course, the Matt Grissom six-pack and the Q Mills winners that he's got served up for us, how's it been the last few weeks? Any good news from the Arkansas front?
We just got a guy from Georgia who is pretty highly rated. And then interestingly enough, one of the pitchers from our baseball team quit baseball to pursue a quarterback career at Arkansas. So this is it's going to be interesting. It's Austin Ledbetter. He was from Bryant. He played quarterback and he was a pitcher, just a phenomenal athlete all around. But I'm really curious because now you've got, Jacoby Criswell, who transferred in from North Carolina. You've got Mekhi Singleton, who was a dual threat guy that was pretty highly rated. Now you've got Austin Ledbetter and the transfer for Boise State, Talon Green. So we've got 3-4 true dual threat guys. So we'll see. I think, with Bobby Petrino, we'll see if he can reignite some excitement out of fans. But we're going to have to hit that transfer portal some more. We need a lot of help.
And Q, how about the Florida Gators?
Things could be better. We had a decent early signing day. DJ Lagway is going to be a huge addition. To be able to learn under Graham Mertz will be nice. Picked up Graham Mertz's best receiver at Wisconsin, DK. I probably just butchered his name, but quick, speedy guy. Good success with Graham. It'll be interesting. We have some coaching changes. We just actually announced the signing of a new defensive line coach out of Tulane, so that'll be interesting. I'll tell you, we got the number one toughest schedule next year. I think it'll be a miracle to go 7-5, but I think it's a 7-5 that needs to happen for Billy Napier. You just can't lose the games that you were losing this year, next year, or he's out the door. But I will say this: he's made some strides. He's made some firings that needed to happen. So he's kept us in the wait and see mode, not just let's move on. So be interesting.
I saw the peek ahead schedule, and at least week 4, Alabama not playing Texas this year, but playing Georgia. So one of those two teams after the first month will have at least one loss. So that's a good head start in the SEC there. I did want to bring this one up too on social media. Thank you. Lane Kiffin and the Ole Miss money train must be in full effect. I saw one of their signees pull up in this pimped out Lamborghini. I mean, I'm like, are you kidding? I mean, talk about flaunting your money, guys.
You know, this seems to me, this seems to me, I don't remember if you guys, 2 years ago, Texas A&M had like 7 5-stars, and everybody knew they were just throwing money. And those same kids couldn't succeed at A&M. And it almost seemed like the class was too perfect. And I almost get that vibe here in Ole Miss. He's got everybody, Walter Nolan, Princely, I'm going to butcher his last name, but the edge guy from Florida, he's got some other signings. It just seems too perfect. I mean, Lane Kiffin, he's got a great offense. His defenses have always kind of sucked. Personally, I don't think it's going to be successful. I mean, that's just a gut feeling. You could sign everybody, but I think for some reason Lane is kind of like the Mark Richt, will always have 2 losses and kind of take themselves out of contention. Now, this year's a little different with the 12 teams. 2 losses, depending on who they're 2, can keep you in that. But it's still going to be tough in the SEC. And like I said, I think everybody he's signing, it's just not going to work.
Bowl season. Matt, it's bowl season, and the hardest part about this, it's like a kid in a candy store. They announce all the bowls, and you look at your opening numbers, and then I know a lot of people, they have their power rankings, and they're like, wow, that number's off, that number's off. And unless you jump in early, you're really rolling the dice because of opt-outs. Hey, I'm going into the NFL draft. I can't take a chance of getting hurt. The transfer portal, coaches getting fired, coaches leaving for other jobs. Matt, we've just started the bowl season. You kind of said something funny backstage about, a lot of games, but a lot of suck fests, and just taking a nice effort last night by Syracuse, by the way, against South Florida there. But how do you approach this, and what is your initial thoughts of the games that have started? And then when we start to get into, this is 6, 7, 8, 9 games tomorrow.
Well, I'm a kid in a candy store, but it's like a great song.
I love the song.
Candy store. It's like a secondhand candy store, though. You don't really want to pick anything because it's been chewed on and spit out. But the best thing that I think we can do is just kind of monitor, and shout out to a lot of people that have put in work in this. But try to monitor everybody moving around and leaving and checking opt-outs, which I get the bookmakers are setting their lines accordingly. But I also think sometimes you over-adjust. Like, you don't really know what the drop-off is going to be, at linebacker or offensive line. Quarterback, that's a pretty important position. So I think a lot of it can, you can anchor your handicap around head coach, offensive coordinator leaving, quarterback not playing. But at the end of the day, we're looking at our advanced analytics that we've done all season long, and the projections are 6-3 on their best bets. So I think at the end of the day, just, outside of a quarterback or a head coach leaving, I think just go with who you think is the better team, regardless of, if they've mass subbed their entire offense and defense. There's still some prestige to the university and what they got here. Now, it has been a bunch of 6-6, 7-5 teams that have played, so take that with a grain of salt. But we're going to continue to monitor it, and like I said, we put out our stat projections, and the guys that have done that have done a really good job of hitting, a 6-3 clip right now.
And Q, your thoughts?
Yeah, to echo that, I think you can also, to kind of back up our analysis that Matt and a couple other guys have done outstanding, is look what kind of teams they are. are they a balanced team? Does the offense run solely through one guy? Is that guy playing? There's some certain things like that. Defensively, has the team given up points all year? Have they been pretty stout? Has the offense been able to score? Have they run, different packages, or is it always the quarterback kind of shaking and baking, making things happen? Those can also give you key indicators of what you're going to get. Maybe when those guys do opt out, hey, what kind of offense is this backup guy stepping into? Is it, we just went from a Jaden Daniels, kind of one-man show to now we've got to try to implement in 10 practices a balanced offense that we haven't done all season. Or, is it an offense where it is an RPO and the running backs have been involved throughout the entire season? The receivers have been involved. The quarterbacks have been involved. So those are some key points you can kind of look at as well. I mean, here's the thing. If you're bottom ranked in defensive, performance all season long, chances are those 10 practices didn't make you elite by any means. Chances are if you guys struggled to score all season long, you didn't just become the 2019 LSU Tigers in 10 practices. So you can kind of key into some things like that to kind of partner up with who's actually transferred or who's sitting out and things like that.
Yeah, and just for an example, you look at like Georgia Southern, Ohio. Ohio was missing 6 players that had over 500 snaps, including their quarterback, 2 wide receivers, and 2 running backs. It still said Ohio plus 3.5 was good value. They win 41-21. I mean, I know that's a small sample size. Jacksonville State was kind of the same scenario, but at the end of the day, these teams want to be there, and the players on the field want to win.
Yeah.
I can't agree more with you. And I talked about, Syracuse, nice effort. And then I'll go back a couple of days ago when, numbers flipped and flipped substantially, the Western Kentucky ODU game, and Western Kentucky missing a boatload of people, and the whole world's on ODU, and they're doing victory laps at 28-0. They're standing in line in front of the Circa and Jeffrey Benson. Hey, Jeff, you want to cash this ticket now? And Jeff's like, why don't you go grab another beer, will you, son? And next thing you know, 35-35 OT, and Western Kentucky comes all the way back, wins the game outright. And then the 10,000 people on social media, the worst speed I've ever had in my history. I'm like, pal, get in line. I mean, I got 10,000 of those if you want.
Yeah, well, you had a 7-5 team versus 6-6 team in college football. I mean, come on. That may not be the worst beat anybody's had, but yeah, I mean, the projection like Western Kentucky plus 3.5. I went against everybody I know and trust. Tim Murray on VSiN was big on ODU, and I looked at it when it was 28-0. I was like, all right, this game's over. And sure enough, they come back and cover, which I didn't bet it. Full transparency, I haven't bet all these projections, but I did kind of think it was funny that at the end of the day, the plus 3.5 was still the right side. Or I say the right side. It was the lucky
the winning side.
Yeah, the winning side.
6:30 tonight, rotation number 219-220, Central Florida facing off against Georgia Tech at the Raymond James studio. I had an opening number of 6.5 with a 61.5. Currently, right now at Circa and Mr. Benson and Mr. Stevens, a 6 minus 15 cents with the 66. Any leans, any sides, either one of you on tonight's Ramblin' Wreck versus CFU?
The projection likes under 68. That's a high total, but you've got 2 pretty good offenses with Haynes King at Georgia Tech and John Rice Plumlee at UCF, assuming he's going to play. I haven't checked to make sure he's not injured. I feel like he was injured off and on all season long. But if I had to pick, I would say Central Florida wins it. But I really like this Georgia Tech team.
Yeah, I actually lean Georgia Tech. I like Haynes King. I think he's got something to play for. I think Georgia Tech is on the rise with their new coach, first-year head coach. Central Florida, when you make the Big 12, I think this is kind of a disheartening bowl. They think they're better than who they are, in my opinion. John Reese Plumlee is still hurt. I think the guy's been hurt or listed as questionable in just about every week. He fumbles a lot. He makes a lot of turnovers. I could see this game, especially for him. Baseball season's right around the corner. How well does he play? Does he try to take it easy, knowing he's got starting center field to kind of worry about here in the next couple of months? This is a game, again, UCF, they probably don't feel like they need to be in. They have bigger aspirations. So let's start looking forward to next season and improving in that facet. Whereas Georgia Tech, this is a momentum builder to be able to make a bowl game, to win a bowl game, and really start propelling that Georgia Tech team, upwards that we haven't seen since the early 2000s. I could see Georgia Tech actually winning this game outright. I would not bet your house on it by any means. Again, it's 2 6-6 teams, but if I had to give a lean, I think it would be Georgia Tech here. I think they want it more. I think they have more to build from this win.
Yeah, and to touch on that too, the projection would like
move
that
my
too.
mouse over. Bear with me, gentlemen, for once.
Nope,
I've got a simulated final score of UCF 35, Georgia Tech 31. So that would cover the 6. I think it's at right now.
Yeah.
Tomorrow, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 games tomorrow. I'm just looking right here. Actually, 7. Duke, Troy, Arkansas State, Northern Illinois, James Madison Air Force, Georgia State, Utah State, South Alabama, Eastern Michigan, Utah, Northwestern, and rounded out by Coastal Carolina, San Jose State. Matt, why don't we start with you, and you can begin with your 6-pack if you got a 6-pack this week.
Not in this ugly slate. Arkansas State will start in chronological order. Arkansas State, the only team from Arkansas, I might add, that's in a bowl game. Northern Illinois, 5-7 ATS. Arkansas State, 7-5. This is a coin flip. Projection likes both of them to score 25 points. So it says Northern Illinois plus 2.5, 3. I don't know. Butch Jones has a lot to prove with Arkansas State. I feel like, the years of Gus Malzahn being at Arkansas State and really having them playing good ball it feels like 10 years ago, which it may be now that I think about it. But time flies, Jeff. Time flies. And, Arkansas State probably wins this game. I don't like the 2.5. If you're going to play State, play the money line. But for whatever reason, it likes NIU in this spot, even though they're down an edge rusher and a couple other players. So tread lightly in this slate. Do you have anything to add on this one, Q? I don't want to run through all of them. Troy, Duke. I mean, Duke has just been eviscerated. They lose Riley Leonard. They lose their head coach. Most of their coaching staff all gone.
Is Manny Diaz going to be on the sideline for this?
That's what I've heard. Jeff,
that's
you
tough,
may know
man.
too. But at the end of the day, he's coming in to what?
Yeah, exactly. What do you have? What are you going to run a base offense, base defense? Like you have nobody. You don't even know your players.
Lose your best corner in Jalen Stinson. Lose a offensive tackle. Your quarterback, like I touched on, a safety. I mean, Troy's going to be able to put up points. I feel like this Duke defense, who was ranked 19th in defensive EPA all season, that's not really the same defense that Troy's going to be playing. And with a mediocre offense in Troy, I think they can probably keep this one tight. But I don't think Duke should be 7.5 point dog. I mean, 7, that's a lot of points for a better team. So I kind of lean Duke in that one. What say you, Q? You've already talked me into one bet, and we've covered one game. So we'll see if another one comes.
I mean, that one's tight. I could see Troy, just given what Duke has gone through in the offseason. You lose your coach. You've lost several key assistants that went to A&M with them. Manny's coming in. They're going to be the most base package offensively, probably a 30 playbook, type playbook. And I don't know what the money line is on Troy off the top of my head, but if you could get Troy like minus Yeah, I mean, this is a stay away. Maybe if you're just trying to catch like a 2-team parlay, maybe throw Troy in that money line parlay. But I would not trust Duke even at the 7.5 because they've lost so many guys from on field to the sidelines. It's just personally, it's a stay away for me. The only 2 games, and you can touch on them. One thing is James Madison. It sounds like Surratt might be sitting out as well, their number 1 receiver. I know he's in the portal. Jordan McLeod is pretty much their entire offense. So even though JMU's typically a solid team, that's a big loss for them. Against Air Force, a very disciplined team. Coastal, I kind of like the over that you sent over, Matt. Both teams give up a lot of points. Both teams can score. And then the most confident that I had was the Georgia Tech.
Yeah.
I did like Northwestern as well. That one I actually am going to put a play on. This is a big game for Northwestern to be able to touch 8 wins. They're 7-5. Utah does not care about this bowl game. They're 8-4. Nate Johnson's sitting out now. He didn't start towards the end of the season, but I can't imagine they're checked into this game whatsoever. Northwestern, incredible year in a lot of games that they lost. This is a massive game to be able to say, hey, we beat the Utah Utes, a massive Pac-12 team or Big Ten team now. This to them, this is it. This is kind of their Super Bowl, a playoff game feel is what I predict out of this. And I think Northwestern could win this game outright.
Yeah, I like Northwestern as well. Utah doesn't have a quarterback. I mean, Cam Rising, obviously, he's out for the season. Nate Johnson and Bryson Barnes both in the transfer portal. Their defense is really good. They do lose a corner and an edge rusher. But
they look disheartened towards the end of the season, too.
Yeah, I mean, they're 4-8 against the spread versus Northwestern, who's 8-4. I feel like they've got a lot more to play for, which is one way to attack the handicapping of these bowls. Is who does it mean more for? I think 6.5 is a little too much for Northwestern, so give me Wildcats plus 6.5. And then Q touched on it earlier, Coastal Carolina. I like the over 52. I think in Hawaii, it's a fast track. Now it's down to 49. Like it even more. And then I leaned San Jose State early on. I'm backing the Coastal Carolina Chanticleers, though. Did you see the viral picture of the head coach posing shirtless with the dance team? Did you see that, JD, circulating on X? Grayson McCall is out. Yes, I get it, but he didn't play there towards the end of the season. I think it's Vasco. Ethan Vasco is going to be starting with the other quarterback that played near the end. He is in the transfer portal as well. So I think Coastal Carolina has enough. They'll be able to keep this one somewhat, in a 4 to 7 point game. So the 9.5, 10, 10.5, whatever you can get it at. I like Coastal Carolina to keep it tight in a high scoring game. San Jose State, yeah. They're on a 6-game win streak. I think a lot of people love them for that. But they're ranked 123rd in defensive EPA. So I don't think Coastal Carolina is going to have a problem being able to put up points.
I know you guys have another show at the bottom of the hour. And again, tomorrow's slate is kind of shitty. If we come back, obviously we'll be back next Friday. We're going to miss a boatload of games next week. I'm just going to talk out loud here. Tuesday, Bowling Green, Minnesota, Texas State, Rice. Then we start to warm up to the better games. Kansas, UNLV, Virginia Tech, Tulane, North Carolina without Drake May against West Virginia, Louisville versus USC without Caleb, Texas A&M, Okie State, SMU, BC. We will be live at that game. Rutgers, Miami, NC State, K-State, any of those, Matt, and then Q, pique your interest for we've had 1 million people watching this show, so and they'll be watching you guys live in 15 minutes. So any of those pique your interest, Matt?
Yeah, I like UNLV. Barry Odom has done a phenomenal job with the Rebs. He faced Kansas last year as the defensive coordinator for Arkansas in that bowl game. It was 55-53. After Arkansas had a complete collapse. Stop me if you've heard that before. But I think Barry Odom will have the Rebs, motivated to play in this game. And I haven't ran the projections yet, but plus 13 and that total of 67 seems a little light for two pretty solid offenses. So I'm kind of leaning UNLV in the over in that one.
Q?
Yeah, one that's piquing my interest, and if you're going to play it, I would get it early, is Louisville playing USC. USC, obviously, Caleb Williams isn't playing, but Malachi Nelson's not playing either. He's in the portal. Who do they have left? They had a lot of guys portal out. Louisville. I mean, this is more of a fade against USC, but I feel like that program under Satterfield, I believe, correct? Or no, Brom's there.
Yeah, Brian Brom.
Yeah, I think they're trying to build something. To me, this kind of feels like they're trying to get back to the Teddy Bridgewater, maybe the Lamar Jackson kind of hyped up Louisville team where they're relevant in a lot of games. And I think this, even though you don't beat a good USC team this year, it's still a name that you could say, hey, we took down USC, who's typically a powerhouse team on paper. I think this is more of a game that Louisville wants to win, end the season on a high note, keep the momentum going. They had, a decent early signing day period, signed some good players. So I think this is a momentum game for them. It's -7.5 now. I would probably try to buy the full point, get that under a touchdown. But I'm not saying that I hate -7.5 either, because I just don't think USC is going to show up at this game. What do they have to play for?
Yeah, and they're playing in San Diego. I mean, kind of close to home. He's right. I feel like Louisville is probably the right side. I don't know what USC has left in the tank after what was a disappointing season, obviously, but even more so with Caleb Williams and the way he went out. And then one more. I do like Oklahoma State +2 versus Texas A&M. That's a Wednesday game. I think Oklahoma State, they were right there in the Big 12 championship before they got blown out by Texas. I think this is a great way to cap off the season against an A&M team that I really don't think has a lot to play for either. They're looking for new beginnings there with it's not Elko. It is? Okay.
Yeah,
I get them confused with the Kentucky coach because
Stoops.
They hired
stayed.
him, and then he stayed. Yeah. I feel like Stoops and Elko are the exact same coach. But
A&M might have had the most transfers of anybody in college football.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how that hire pans out. But I just don't think A&M is going to be motivated to play this game. I think Oklahoma State's the right side there.
No, I agree. And again, I could talk to you guys for another hour, and I know you guys, I tried to get you out of here at 4:15 my time to give you 15. We carried over a couple extra minutes to get you guys ready for your show. But as we always close, Q first, tell them where they can find all your great work.
You find us at NCAA Insiders, and then my personal page is at Q Millie. That's 3 L's, 2 Y's. All things. I've been a little easy on the bowl games, so I'll play them sparingly. But I'm getting ready to ramp up, taking the bull by the horns here and get college baseball going. So I'll be spamming Twitter or X, if you call it that, here in the very, very near future after the holidays. I'm locked in. I'm ready to roll.
Matt?
Follow me at Grissom on X. And one more, because I'm not going to see you till next Friday. Oklahoma, Arizona. I love the Wildcats in this spot. I played them on the money line. I like them -3, however you want it. Oklahoma's missing a zillion players, and I think Arizona, with what Jed Fish did this season, I feel like it's only right to cap off this amazing season for Arizona with a bowl victory over a soon-to-be SEC team. So follow me. Check out our show, NCAA Insiders. We're going to be streaming live in about 11 minutes. So we'll see you on the other side.
From myself, Jeff Dawson at EC Sports Invest, the one and only Quentin Mills at Q Millie, and of course, Matt Grissom at Grissom on X. I mean, he grabbed that one in a hurry. I'm surprised there's not a copyright next to that yet either. So go follow these guys. Notebook Wager One, NCAA Insiders. They'll be live in 10 minutes. And ourselves here at ECSI, we'll be back at 5 o'clock East Coast time with Ron. We'll be talking some more NCAA and NFL. Guys, you are fabulous as always. Let's have a great day. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas to all, and we will see you soon.
Cheers.
You as well.